receive whatever it is you need to receive today. That have a little bit more fire underneath you. Now we are in, of course, new moon energy and solar eclipse energy too, so be mindful of those energies playing. But here we go. We're here to relieve you of doubt or disbelief or points of grief, because there's been a lot of things, of course, as this waning of this moon shifts into the new. Now when we're shifting into the new, mind you, it's a dark moon. It is not all the way new yet. It won't be new until at least it's 1%. So when you're in this place of manifesting, you're in alignment in your emotional integration with that energy per se. There's no thought, there's no placement, it's just as if. So a lot of you have been in imprisonment through this Mercury retrograde, and as we're on the squeeze out of the retrograde, you're going to be feeling it probably about twice or 3 times as deep, because of the fact is that Mercury always peaks in the very first week and then usually in the last week. So these are where the shifts are going to take place. And I want to bring a little bit of peace into this space, because I know there's a lot of angst and energy, thank you Gabriel, in the collective about the changes and the things that are taking place here. Okay, and one thing I want to prepare people for is what I've been asked to prepare people for is Neptune in Aries. Everybody's worried about the eclipse, and I've been told to prepare people for Neptune in Aries energy, which has not happened in our shift for over 160 years. And Neptune in Aries has not happened for over 160 years, and the last time, if you look it up, that happened, Lincoln became president, the war tax was implemented, and sovereign states became sovereign, and there was the Civil War that enacted. So I just want you to be mindful of the energies that are playing about with things that come in and things that come out and things that intercede here and might cast shadows or might cast doubt on what your belief is. And that's one of the things that the divine asked me to talk about today, very much so, is not only does gratitude turns a place of prison into a breakthrough, okay? Gratitude turns a place of prison into a breakthrough, a trial into a testimony. So gratitude will turn a mindset of a place of prison when you are stuck in your mind into a breakthrough, okay? And the trial becomes your testimony, all right? Every time worry rises, counter it with thanksgiving. Every time that worry rises, counter it with thanksgiving. Every time doubt whispers, silence it with praise. Every time doubt whispers, silence it with praise. And that doesn't mean praising the universe or praising Paul Nader or praising the divine. What it means is praising yourself for the abilities that you have to make it through these things time after time, shift after shift. Be in gratitude of yourself. When that doubt whispers silence, praise yourself. put yourself in a place as if sometimes you got to talk yourself up the ledge first, okay? And so a lot of the time that self-doubt comes in, it comes through the back door. It's silence. It's very cunning. It's very baffling, and it's very powerful right now. And so anytime that doubt whispers in about what you believe to be true, or what you know the place from within, or what you know is playing out, or what you know is going on in your own destiny. And a lot of you, I've told you time and time again, you're in alignment for your destiny to be in a receiving place. But how it plays out in a third world space is going to be different. It all plays out spiritually. It all happens physically. And we're going to break those things down for you today. Okay? The opposite of fear is not faith. It's belief. The opposite of fear is not faith. It's belief. Faith is hope. You're hoping that it's going to happen. Nah. All right? The divine doesn't work like that. The opposite of fear is belief. The divine doesn't work on hoping. You can take back your hope anytime, okay? But when you believe because it succeeds the space of grief or doubt or disbelief, nobody can take what it has that is interceding inside of you. Okay, whatever is interceding inside of you is happening for a reason. And a lot of you are brewing, where you're birthing these new things. Your world is going to change. And the way that your world's going to change and not remain the same is because you don't look at things any longer with disdain, is what's being said right now. You don't have any doubt. You don't have any confusion. You're not in a place of disdain. You're just in a place of universal flow. And that's exactly what you've been trying to get to. You're not tricking yourself. You think you're deceiving yourself, but you're not really deceiving yourself. You're in universal flow. You're just kind of like, oh, that's what we're doing today. Okay, that's the way things are going today. All right, this is what we're doing. So when you are in a place of you're asking for this breakthrough, and you're asking for these patterns and these cycles and these things to be removed, okay, the place of gratitude turns that prison into a breakthrough. All right. And you are coming back to reminding yourself of where you've been. See, people get things confused. When things come up in your mind and it brings you no feeling at all, there's no connection to it. The pattern is gone. The cycle is broken. But it's you who tries to overanalyze it and recycle it and take the past ways that you used to see things, the past ways that you used to do things, and try to implement them in today. And it's not working for you that way anymore, because the divine has that calling upon you. Okay? The divine, the spirit is calling you. That's why it's stirring up your spirit. That's why it's stirring up your soul. Especially for the divine feminine, to rid anything that was old, or to rid anything that was an assumption, or rid anything that was left untold, or bought, borrowed, or sold, is what they're telling you right now. Because you're in your own internal reflection. Remember, part of what was said, nothing more will be bought, borrowed, sold, or left untold. It all starts with the gold, right? And there's many different ways to interpret that message in the transcripts of the prophecy that was given to me in multiple layers, in multiple timeline shifts. So a lot of you might feel like, they want me to bring this up too, a lot of you might feel like, as some of you explain it to me, okay, and I will explain it how I feel it, but some of you explain it to me as feeling like you're in a peel away, like you're in two places at one time. You get dizzy, right? You've got vertigo really easily. Your brain's buzzing. You're going bzzz, right? It's like because you're in two worlds at one time simultaneously. This is part of the merger of the spirit identity with the human and the euphoric of the frequency that's coming in. Remember, Samuel couldn't hang out with the angels all the time because the frequency was too high. They had to meet. So what do you think is happening to you? They're integrating these frequencies within you. See, everybody thinks they know what Jesus was or what Jesus is. And that's part of the old book in Revelations that was revealed to me, is that all these parts and premises and assumptions and all these things were used as propaganda of what Jesus and Yahweh and Yeshua is, okay? And so you're coming back into your own internal understanding of what is real and what is not real, okay? And the opposite of fear is not faith, it's belief. It's belief in the feeling, right? Because in order to receive, you have to be able to feel what God is, what Paul Nader is, that the universe is real, that the energy is working with you and for you, not against you. But you think it's against you because of the way that the human pretense is and the density of the energy here placed upon you. Do you know how many wish that they could be here in physical form at this time doing what you're doing? Coming online, intertwining the DNA, all the things. Do you understand how much they are just like, oh, in all of what you're doing and how you're doing it? It's because you're coming back online. This is why you've done work after work after work after work, shadow after shadow after shadow after shadow. Because we are in a different time of density where we have to work on the alignment differently, okay? Because of what was used against us in multiple different ways, in multiple different frequencies. But worst of all, many of you know that I wrote the prophecy of what was told to me about Babel a long time ago. And now you can see all these videos on TikTok going, Babel was never about language. It was about frequency and them stealing our language because we used to talk telepathically. And I said, yep, I wrote that 2-3 years ago. Huh, that's funny. You're understanding how these energies truly work and what it is that you're doing. And now you can see why they say that your light is so important internally, because the internal will always manifest the external physically in this world. You've had to rush your healing to master yourself. That's your job. Jesus mastered himself. Now, he had help because he had entrainment from the Egyptian schools, the mystic schools, Isis, Seth, Osiris, Nefertiti, because they were the physical representations of the divine here. Because remember, the divine, the seed of creation, or do you forget, in the beginning it was us and we were it. You wanted to experience it. Time and space is what took place for many different frequencies that allowed it to be, which then became the seed, which then became the word to be, the seed of creation. And I wrote that back in 2024 because Mother Earth was never meant to be a way station. And what it's been consumed and used as is a place of sacrifice and this and that. And eternal damnation is what was just said to me. Remember how we walk around and going, wait a minute, this is not earth, this is hell. This is hell. And you know that so very well. And why is it that way? Well, it's that way because of all the different things that have come to play and all the different parallels. And now, guess what? Choo-choo. Everything's coming back in alignment. Remember when we talk about the looking glass, and the looking glass, there's only one innate inevitable experience to have happened once so many things intertwine, right? And so now what you're doing is you have to vibrate at those levels, right? So there's a higher calling upon your vessel to be able to vibrate at those levels. And when you are in a mindset of the opposite of fear, okay, which is not faith. Faith is hope. Faith is hope. You can take back your hope anytime, because hope is just a joke when it comes to the divine. Belief is everything when you're coming online. And it's that feeling in here, it's just that boom, that pull. And this is why your team has had to get you, 1212, away from everyone at the seams. In multiple ways, jobs aren't working out, this isn't working out, this isn't working out. You are dropping energies like flies because there's a higher calling. And the divine is literally trying to move through you and help you pursue what that destiny is, but you're too worried about questioning you. You're in your own place of imprisonment. When you question you, you're questioning the divine authority that's pulling you to do that thing. They said no mercy today. Bam. That place of imprisonment, that's why you're not in alignment with your destiny. That's why it feels like things and these things. If you would answer the call, the curse would remove itself. Boom. If you would answer the call, the curse would remove itself. But what that calling is that looks like to you, that the divine is trying to move through you, is different for each and every one of you. And it might start with a little tiny thing. Remember, it might be itty bitty in a big old world, but it turns into a really big thing. The innate divine, why you're like, well, this young lady that I get to work with, she is such a blessing to work with. Oh my God, she's a blessing to work with. And I get to work with this lady. Yes, I get to. The divine blesses me with people I get to work with. Okay. And I get to work with her. And it's beautiful because yesterday she came in session. She was dressed in all white. All white. Hair covered. All white. She had no clue what was going on. She goes, yeah, I just felt like I needed to put all white on. I just needed to cover. I said, this is a fire of purification. Welcome. Welcome to the new you. Welcome to another level. Welcome to another level of purity and clarity. She's like, yeah, I don't know. Welcome to the new understanding of how the divine works and how the divine moves. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. And that's been the formula to my entire life, and why it's been the formula to Four Corners Healing. Because a lot of the time, you're just led to do. So then you just get this feeling, right? And sometimes that feeling gets so big and so hot and so heavy that's birthed inside of you. You're like, I can't stand it anymore. I just got to do it. That's what's happening. Is the call is just eroding away slowly by slowly to do that thing, right? But it starts out as a little bitty thing. So the way that the energies play is by casting doubt. The whispers that come about. Are you sure? You sure that's what you're doing? You sure? Or it'll have you work in an opposite way and assume something. The divine just said to me to read a piece of this this transcript, not all of it, just a piece that reflects that, because it was talking to me just a second ago about the energy here of you had to remove the voices. Look, it was right here. Holy crap. It never is up like that. Okay? It's never up like that. Let me get to the piece where you had to remove the voices until its voice was the only voice that remained. Yeah, here it is. The demons in your brain from which you came, you had to learn to refrain until nothing but my voice remained. You had to learn that the spirits of disdain already knew your name as you came to complete your destiny once more. But you had to open it through the what? Fourth door. You had to open up your destiny and your assignment and come into alignment and no longer be a body on consignment, which means they can't use your energy against you any longer because you have mastered you. When you master your healing, not rush it, but master it, you have mastered you. So when a thought arises where there's no emotion left to it, but yet it tries to cast demise upon your mind, understand and know that there's no feeling because you've grown. And it's revealing to you a past place and a past space that you've already been, but yet the spirit of disdain, the spirit of worry, the spirit of doubt comes in just to see if you'll take the bait. To keep you in self-doubt, not belief, but in faith or hope, or maybe even fear. Maybe I shouldn't do that thing. Maybe it's going to work out the same way. Maybe it's going to go that way. Well, that's an assumption, and you're also casting doubt on the shadows of your past and to where you are now, which can no longer last. You're only working with your glass half full. And they said, fill up your cup. There's more than enough. When they talk about the keys and the keys to your destiny, they want you to understand and know that the blueprints, right, they're inside of you. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing about the keys. And I'm so tired of hearing about my blueprints being inside of me, right? Well, it's true, because you already have the blueprints inside of you. And the blueprints that are inside of you are pieces and activations of not reminding you of who you are, but what you are. Pieces of your integration. So if those physical representations are physical representations of the divine in that modern time, or this modern time, or that way, why is it that you are not the physical representations of certain energies? But see, the divine was way smarter this time. And instead of putting those divine energies and frequencies into one being, one part, one layer, so that it could get casted out, it decided to put them in multiple layers. So those little pieces of your Akashic records that everybody talks about, that are pieces or books or thumbprints, because I was always told a long time ago, when I would go into the Akash, I would see either thumbprints that would give me an imprint that somebody was imprinted with that knowledge and wisdom and frequency of this lifetime, okay? Or if it was a book, then that means they actually lived it, experienced it, and gained the wisdom and the knowledge, okay? And a lot of us have been imprinted. Now, there's reason for that, because those are frequencies that it's as if we had the experience physically, but we did not have the physical experience of it. We are carriers of the energy, right? So it goes back to chromosomes, cells, DNA, and all of that, and frequency too. Now you're coming online in multiple different ways. So now when you feel like you're jumping through timelines, some people will call this quantum leaping, when you're jumping through more or than 2 or 3 timelines at one time. And for some people, they feel like they're getting peeled apart and their equilibrium's all messed up and their head's buzzing, right? Other times, to me, it feels like I'm permeating my bubble, my tritosphere, is permeating into another bubble's tritosphere, and it'll feel like jello. And it feels like jello when I start to bump up against it. And then they start to transcend together, and then I merge into it. That's how it energetically feels in my bubble, okay? So I wanted to give you explanation, because sometimes it feels different. Before this occurs, you'll drop timelines. You'll have deja vus. You'll have all those things to tell you that you're the one dropping the signs and the synchronicities and the revelations to yourself. Sorry. My nose itches like crazy. So you're the ones that are giving yourself, and of course, with your angels' help, with your guides' help, with the divine's help, with who you work with, right? They help too. But yet it's you that goes out at nighttime, right? Your spirit, right? So in Native American terms, it's your spirit that goes out at nighttime. You guys call it outer body experience, astral travel, okay? And it's your spirit that goes out that realizes what it is that it's trying to find the answers to. You come back with the information, or you come back with confirmation. So then you're going about your day and you'll get confirmation that you're on the right path, on the right way, leaving yourself those numbers and those timelines at play. Or you're having deja vu experience. Well, wait a minute, I already thought I did this. Well, yes, you did, but you did it on another level, of frequency, okay? So there is the spirit of obsession that is oppressing some of you, and I don't know who this is for in the room, but they gave me the below and as above, and so the spirit of oppression, right? So it shows up as depression, so I don't know who might be depressed in this room, because they keep telling me in my ear devil energy, and that means that somebody is judging me, which is ultimately judging themselves, or they're in the level of depression, right? So when that energy comes in, it's just another level of understanding the judgment, right? It's the judgment of the not understanding. And so when you are casting doubts and shadows that reside, and you're feeding into that oppression in that lower level energy, the things that you're wanting, or the things that you're realizing, or the things that you're trying to do in your life will not manifest, because you can't rise to the energy of what that manifestation is asking you to be. Now, some of that oppression is greed. So whoever I'm speaking to right now is greed. They get something, they want more. They get a little bit, they want more. See, financials and money is only as good as the heart that's holding it. Okay? Financials and money is only as good as the heart holding it, which means the person's intentions behind it. That's why Spirit always says not all money is good money. So in oppression, you're actually suppressing yourself by being in your own devil energy. And to relieve yourself of thy bondage of thyself is to stop with the spirit of comparison and judgment upon anyone else. That is how you will actually come out of this state of compromise. You've been compromising with yourself and compromising with God for a long time is what they're telling me here. It's time that you come online and it's time that you rise. Okay? The judgment of self is the spirit of comparison, and the spirit of comparison comes out. And it comes out by you casting shadows of doubt on others, or you casting judgment upon yourself, which is deepening you into the suppression and the oppression. Well, then you're getting greedier and greedier because nothing's working out and the finances aren't working out and da-da-da-da-da. It's the spirit of oppression. Okay? So, with that being said, relieve yourself of the bondage of thyself. Okay? And then you can work on the spirit of forgiveness. Okay? Because what happens is when you actually, it's not about forgiving yourself. Let me break this down to you because I know you went, all right, I ain't got to forgive nobody and I don't want to forgive nobody else. I get it. Okay? That's your little ego talking to me, and I love it because I love dealing with ego because I have one too. And it's not in a way. It's in a reverse way. So what I'm going to say to you here and in this moment is that when you actually pray for the other person, you deliver them of that devil energy, which actually delivers you of that energy that's casting that energy upon you. You're not necessarily forgiving them. That's what it was turned into, right? Because if you forgive them, then you forgive yourself. Well, it's really not about that in that way. The way that in spirituality that they've showed me that we're using that is because when you pray for the other party to be delivered, okay, of their evil, right? You relieve them of that devil energy, then that energy can no longer suppress you or oppress you in that energy, okay? That's what you're coming to learn. And so you are being oppressed because other people are oppressing you. And if you move away from those energies and you stop reflecting what's happening to you, automatically you rise too. Okay? So you're only dealing with the spirit of oppression, depression, suppression because you're allowing it to. That's the authority that you actually have inside of you. Now, some people love living in that energy and they love living in that victim-like mentality, okay? And they can't seem to get out of it. But you're a strong cat, man. I can see your heart. Okay, you're strong. You're a little angry at the world. I get that. I've been there too, right? Okay, you're a little angry and you're a little closed off. Okay, because so much has been done to you that you're trying to undo. We all have to, baby. We all have to. Okay. All right. Some heavier than others, and that's just as because their calling is a little heavier. That's all. No spirit of comparison and abilities or gifts, because we all have them. The divine gave them to us. It's a matter of us of building them up and coming online and the divine blessing us with certain frequencies. See, what I have inside of me was not given to me by my mommy or my daddy or my grandpappy. It was given to me by the Holy Spirit and the divine. It's not even mine. Okay? And I was a real angry person too, and a real angry kid too. I understand you, and I see you in ways that you don't see you. But I want you to know that you are powerful enough to release your own authority and to remove the spirit of confusion and oppression off of your vessels and others too. And if you start delivering others You start delivering others of the evil that they cast down upon you. They can't be used against you anymore in this game, boo. I promise you, I know this to be true. For fact upon fact upon fact. I have prayed for people and I have delivered people from evil that I never thought I would pray for. And let me tell you, it is 110% true. My testimony proves it over and over again. Okay? I am telling you, what you are dealing with is not you, but it is of you. Okay? Is it yours to deal with? Yes, it is. Why? Because it's going to teach you spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence that's relevant to your abilities, to your skill level, to your frequency, to your destiny. Come work with me. Come work with me. Come work with me. All right? Now, all right, we're going to do some healing for those of you that are in those places and spaces, okay? Yeah, I think I'm supposed to read this for you. Inner earth and outer earth are about to merge. This will no longer leave your voice unheard. You found peace in the silence, left behind so much violence, only to become vulnerable once more that left you on your knees in front of my door. Voices churned as your emotions burned, trying to find peace in the silence once more. Tender pieces finally put together in one frame, not from disdain, but because you finally remembered your name from which you came. The demons in your brain from which you came, you had to learn to refrain until nothing but my voice remained. You had to learn that the spirits of disdain already knew your name as you came to complete your destiny once more. Turning the pages, you learned from the sages how to find peace in the silence. Moving away from the spiritual violence, your life you knew was never going to be a bore. The energies of the enemies knew when you were born. This is the meticulous beginning of our sequel. You had to learn that you were not all created equal. Your frequency and light were that of mine. This I had to teach you in due time, and soon you would learn that everything would work out fine. Trusting the process puts you humans in such distress. This time it's not equal. That's why this is the beginning of the second sequel. You are my people. The spaces in the in-between is where you had to sew up the seams so your light could not be seen. You have come so far from who you are to what you are. This is the most growth I've seen thus far. You had to come back home to me and no longer flee from what was inside of you and me. I am your equal. I created the heavens and the earth and all the planets that reside. Put your differences aside and come alive. Everyone transitions, which is what you call death, but not everybody lives and know what it's like to give. Give to the one that gave to you. I reside in each and every one of you. The merging of the two, the inner you, the outer you. You call that your higher self, I think, to be true. Inner earth and outer earth, the heavens and the earth will merge once more. This cycle will no longer be born. It was all part of the perfect storm and the process in which you forget. Don't worry, it's nowhere near over yet. This is plenty of time to reflect and process all that you are. And once your knees hit the floor, you'll remember once more. It's true, I created the heavens and the earth with the help of your birth. Who I was speaking to earlier needed that, okay? They needed to have the understanding of why their mind won't shut up, why they're dealing with the spirits of disdain, why they're dealing with these obtrusive thoughts and memories that keep coming up, that keep trying to abuse you and oppress you and suppress you. It's not you. It's of you because it's trying to teach you where the work is that you need to do to sew up your light so that you can use your light in all of the divine sight. But not sit here and beat yourself up and keep yourself blind from where the Holy Spirit is keeping you, because the spirit of oppression will keep you depressed, suppressed, and it will keep you blaming others, and it will keep you in revenge and regret. And that is where you are dealing with the spirit of comparison, the spirit of doubt, the spirit of self-intrusion, and the spirit of delusion. May they be removed and redeemed now. In the holy name of Yeshua, in the holy light of the divine, I ask that you remove these energies of oppression and self-doubt and confusion and intrusion upon God's people at this time. Deliver them from the evil of the thoughts in their mind that it is not even of them at this time, that it is the spirits of the energies and the enemies working against them to not step into an alignment with what they came here to do, which is to remove doubt and turn fear not into faith, because faith is merely hope, but into belief. that everything that is around them is not always as it seems, although they don't understand the unseen that is playing out continuously dimensionally behind the scenes. Many of them speak his name in the light, but continue to refuse what he truly is within sight. He is the physical form of the divine, of the interstellar energies. He is our equal, and he is a part of our people. And the divine is coming back, not just in one, not just in two, but in multiples of you this time, to carry out the divine's prophecy and what it was always meant to be in this timeline. Not a place of grief and trafficking and slavery and torture and disease and disorder. And it is the divine feminine in the collective at this time that is doing the internal work to remove the layers of the wounds that they have been put through, to relieve the bondage of thyself in which they intend to move through to become closer to the divine, closer to God. I can feel many of you calling and calling and calling. And remember, in order to believe, you have to be able to perceive, which is order to receive what God truly is in this time, not what they wrote and made it out to be, a place of sacrifice and slavery and torture and war. That is not the God of the divine that we work for and more. It is time to step into the calling. It is time to step into the belief. It is time to step into the merger of the two, the inner you, the outer you, the inner self, the outer self, the higher self, the lower self. Free yourself from self-doubt, from evil, and from those energies that try to place shadows upon your destiny. You are in alignment and you are no longer a body on consignment. Allow the light to come through you at this time and remove that energy. Let it go. Let it flow. I feel the tears. I feel a lot of you coming online. There you go. There you go. There it is. Now you can feel the divine. There it is. That's the belief. In order to receive, you have to be able to perceive. God is a feeling. It is not a thing in the sky. The pollinator is everywhere and in everything and at all times. But when it chooses to manifest in the physical, there is anointing upon your breasts. Thank you for being here with me today. If you guys would like to receive any type of healing, man, let me tell you, I got to snap back quick, okay? Because there's a lot of work that's going on within the collective. And this is part of the rise that you guys have been told about in the feeling, right? You've been working, you've been feeling, you've been bringing all these things up. You've been emotionally becoming intelligent. You've been emotionally coming back into and remembering what the divine is, what God is. Remember, the divine of the universe always had two parts to it, the masculine and the feminine side. And so now the feminine is coming back online to intertwine with what the reality was to be when it wrote the prophecy of eternity. I'm going to read because I'm being asked to read. So forgive me as I close out today with the transcripts of the transmissions that have been received in multiple times. So I'm going to allow the light to come through and allow the light to read this through me to you today. This was transcribed in May 20th of 2024. The seeds of creation, or did you forget? In the beginning it was us and we were it. You wanted to experience it. Time and space is what took place from many different frequencies that allowed it to be, brought on by many different creeds and beings that became the seed, which then became the word to be. The divine mother planted the seed of creation. Your mother earth that I created was never meant to be a way station. You were born to create. You were born to have fun. You were born to the light. That's where it begun. That was transcribed on 7/3 of 2023. The sands of time have clogged your mind. Frequency turned your words, left your voice unheard. You forget all that you learned when you emerged. Time and space is what took place. You were never meant to be erased in this densely lit place. You came to your senses with divine comprehension. You reinforced your prism, clearing out the masses. You finally chose to take off your rose-colored glasses. Your mind raced as your heart stood still, not knowing then what would take place. Red pill, blue pill, no choice at all, waiting for time and space to fall, wondering if and when you would hear the call. Come the one and come the all. As your mother's voice stood tall, you knew the answer and you heard your call. The spark, the fire, the flame, call it what you want here, your words are all the same. The masters and the spirits already know your name. It's an imprint through all time and space. Do you even know from which dimension you came? How come you don't even know or remember your truest of name? The one the Creator gave you when it birthed you with all of your light, when all of its sight. The light, July 1st, 2023. Time stood still the day you were born. You came out perfect. You were never meant to be torn. You were made to believe what your human eyes could perceive. Don't you see the light I gave you is inside of me? Make no mistake, oh my, how you've grown. It shows in your smile, a newfound home. The tides have turned, oh what a mess. What did you think, I was not in distress? Did you think I would forget? My children come from wide and far. Uniting of their tongues will soon roar. The trumpets will sound and be silenced no more. In perfect peace and harmony once more. No longer can you claim my land, you see. It was never yours to begin with. It's what you made it out to be. Oh, how you have disrespected the one you call God, who is truest in nature. I sent my son in physical form to represent me, the eternal flame, the divine creator. He had natural abilities to be the protector and fulfill the divine prophecy. To complete the sacred sectors of geometry, he did exactly what I asked of thee, but you personified him and persecuted him to be, turned him into a sacrifice because you were scared of thee. But this time I made the order taller that he comes back as she, all in divine order, you'll see. A gift to my children, a peaceful presence will return. Justice for all was my bond and my word. The Creator has watched all that you've done. Did you think you would get away with your fun? Torture, slavery, and greed from day one. Don't worry, your judgment day will come. You've taken way more than you need. This will no longer be a place of greed. No matter what race, lineage, color, or creed, my children have come to unite, you see. Under my grace, you took from every age, race, and gender, people suffering while you danced in a splendor, not thinking that my children of the light would catch on to your demise. Divide and conquer was your prize. The war you made was on their minds, only to trap their souls as your prize. There is one you could not trick, the Creator, the all, the infinity. Can't you see? The tables have turned, you better run quickly. You made my children forget the prophecy through your words you used as frequency, your lies and unspoken truths you hid from thee. But this time you forget the Creator can see every nook, every cranny, and every thought to be, for it wrote the divine prophecy of eternity. My children have come to unite, you see, from near and far. I put out a grand call, a great awakening, come the one and come the all. I put out a grand call for a great awakening, come the one and come the all. My heart beat that grounds their feet, my lands, my rivers, my plants, my trees. What a sweet treat, but they have forgotten what connects them all to me and you. A dream some think that won't come true. Far-fetched they think, but that's the key. Divine intervention no one can see, but the truest of eyes and hearts that beat. We returned the call, we knew the answer. The 144 was the answer. From every lineage, race, dimension, and creed, for they remember the code to be. As they have walked this path since the beginning of humanity, I hid them this time. Near and far, for every 1 million, there's only 3. I was way smarter than you could believe. We also gathered those that carry the feather and the rose to be. They come from faraway places of many backgrounds, colors, and races, not from these familiar places. They are here to spark the masses, to create a higher expansion, and that is what you call rapid ascension. Inner Earth and Outer Earth, June 13th to 2024. Inner Earth and Outer Earth are about to merge. This will no longer leave your voice unheard. You found peace in the silence, left behind so much violence, only to become vulnerable once more. That left you on your knees in front of my door. Voices churned as your emotions burned, trying to find peace in the silence once more. Tender pieces finally put together in one frame, not from disdain, but because you finally remembered your name from which you came. The demons in your brain from which you came, you had to learn to refrain until nothing but my voice remained. You had to learn the spirits of disdain already knew your name as you came to complete your destiny once more. Turning the pages, you learned from the sages how to find peace in the silence, moving away from the spiritual violence. Your life you knew was never going to be a bore. The energies of the enemies knew when you were born. This is the meticulous beginning of our sequel. You had to learn that you were not created equal. Your frequency and light were that of mine. This I had to teach you in due time, and soon you would learn that everything would work out fine. Trusting the process puts you humans in such distress. Time is not equal. That is why this is the beginning of the second sequel. You are my people. The spaces in the in-between is where you had to sew up the seams so your light could not be seen. You have come so far from who you are to what you are. This is the most growth I've seen thus far. You had to come back home to me and no longer flee from what was inside of you and me. I am your equal. I created the heavens and the earth with the help of your birth. Put your difference aside and come alive. Everyone transitions, which is what you call death, but not everybody lives and know what it's like to give. Give to the one that gave to you. I reside in each and every one of you. The merging of the two, the inner you, the outer you. You call that your higher self, I think to be true. Inner earth and outer earth, the heavens and the earth will merge once more. This cycle will no longer be born. It was all part of the perfect storm and the process in which you forget. Don't worry, it's nowhere near over yet. There's plenty of time to reflect and process all that you are, and once your knees hit the floor, you'll remember once more. It's true, I created the heavens and the earth with the help of your birth. To the depths of what comes next, this was written in January of this year. To the depths of your soul, you're so very old, it's wrapped in gold. Behold the stories that were left untold. All is about to unfold. This is something you've been told. Your heart is so very bold. Don't believe all that you've been sold and told. Nothing more can be bought, borrowed, sold, or left untold. These are the stories of gold about to unfold that have never been bought, borrowed, sold, or told. This is a prophecy so very, very old, and it all starts with the gold. And that's why I said Neptune and Aries coming up here very soon is going to ensue something that we have yet to see. Remember when we have all been told that we were born at a very special time for very special reasons, okay? It's because this is your season. We are preparing for a spiritual battle like no other. And the divine is calling its people in many different ways. The gifts that you have are not for you any longer. They never were yours in multiple ways. They are of you to come through you, for you to use, for you to deliver or deliver people from evil, deliver people from hurt, deliver people from, disease and disorder, because they can't understand what it is to step into their destiny or what's got a hold of them too. That is why the divine is calling its healers of many different timelines, backgrounds, races, places, and spaces. There's many that are here from unfamiliar spaces. They've merged with the body this time to come back and do what they've done. And those interstellar beings, which are all pieces and parts of us anyway, but they have a bigger imprint. All right. All those blueprints are waking up inside of them. They're remembering the cosmic energy. They're remembering what to do with it. They're remembering how to use it. They're remembering how to tap into it. Okay. So many of you are coming online. This has been one of the reasonings for the bump up in the Schumann here over the last, I don't know, what has it been, the last week? All right, from what I understand. So I think the Schumann's been at it again, up and down, okay, over the last week. All right, so I'm going to do some integration. I'm going to do some healing here. I've got a donation that I would like to do. So, all right, they are happy, they are done, and the divine is happy with what it's delivered today. I will try to download this and get it up on YouTube as fast as possible. I get to show up because I don't always get to show up, and I get to hang out with you guys. And it's because the divine's got me working in different ways and in different places. So thank you for being here with me today. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Michael. So, I appreciate that. Yeah. You know, we've got a lot of that energy, Archangel Michael energy that's been going on. Archangel Michael is the archangel of chaos, right? And so he's the one that does a lot of protecting right now. So a lot of people are infused with a lot of Archangel Michael energy. That frequency's coming around a lot because we've got Mercury. Mercury always brings up stuff, but it's always got Mercury, and then you've got Venus. And a lot of the things you guys are reeling is the energy shifts that are playing out. The solar system is a cosmic dance of a time clock anyway. If you look at the planets on a circle, it's a clock anyway, right? No matter how much you come out of alignment, you're always going to get back in alignment because that clock is going to push you to get back in alignment because you're on assignment. You're too far woken up for your body to not be part of the conscious collective. So you're no longer on consignment. You're no longer removing karmas, dharmas, generational stuff, okay? Those things have been lifted, and now it's time to trust, is what they're telling me, okay? So this is the new calling. This is the new energy. Now, a lot of you are like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I try this and it doesn't work. I try this and it doesn't work. Good. You're trying too hard. You're trying too hard to make something work. When you're knocking on the door and it's not opening for you, it's because you're trying too hard. Now is the time to be in the energy of receiving. Okay? Let Mercury play its way out through the 6th. Okay? Let Neptune step in. Don't make any heavy decisions or any things of what to do's. You're going to be shown through this time. This is the clarity that's coming online. This is a revealing. But a lot of you get in the angst and the anxiety and the worry and the fret and the stress, right? Because you think you have to have it figured out. You don't have to have it figured out. Okay? Remember when we were talking about how the divine will just move you because you have no idea what you're doing. You're just doing it. And I was talking about that beautiful lady that I get to work with. And she mentees with me, and she's like, you know, I don't even know why I did this. And I said, it's beautiful. I know exactly why you did that. Let me explain it to you. She's like, I haven't done this forever, and I just felt like doing it. And I'm like, good, you're listening. So you're starting to obey, right? People don't realize that when they actually do something that they're just led to do, that's how the divine speaks. The divine doesn't just go rah, rah, rah. The divine literally puts things on your heart. You'll feel something on your heart. The divine is a feeling. It's not a physical thing. The energy of the Holy Spirit that comes through is a feeling. And when you feel that feeling, it's like something opens up inside of you. Now, a lot of you have this stirring of the spirit of the belly, and if you would answer your call, the curse would lift off of you. No lie. If you would step into what the divine is asking you to do, a lot of those curses will come off of you. Because the divine is placing those things upon you, eroding that shit away to get you into alignment. Okay? 110%. It's the way it works. Remember, the divine giveth and the divine taketh away. Sometimes the divine will place demonic energy upon your life for multiple reasons. Multiple. I know I had it in my seasons many of times. It's a huge part of my testimony, but there's a good reasoning why, because it taught me a lot of spiritual intelligence. It taught me a lot about what not to do, okay? All right? A lot of what not to do, all right? And a lot of what to fall into. As I got to see those flags revealed later on in life and all of those things. Maybe not just even once. I think the divine had to do that about 3 or 4 times in my lifetime, right? And not only did it manifest spiritually, it manifested physically. It manifested through other people. So once I was able to spiritually realize what was going on, I was part of the problem, right? Because of my energy, what I was allowing, what I wasn't accountable for, because I didn't have the emotional intelligence of the emotional relevance to stay in the frequency and understand how the spiritual game worked. It was only through a long 26 years of experience so far, of learning how the divine and how the universe and how the energy works in multiple ways. And see, some of the information spiritually that comes through about, you know, when they say, they'll say, they use the spirit of mammoth, right? And it just means devil energy, okay? Devil energy, right? There's no physical devil, okay? It's an energy. And we say also, too, that it'll be the spirit of oppression, the spirit of depression, the spirit of this, the spirit of that, which means it's an energy of that. So I want to break that down. Everybody should have feelings of both masculine and feminine. You're on the right track. And so, in fact, a lot of that disdain has taught you what to do, how the demonic energies work, how the devil energy works through people to get to you, okay? So most of the time, you've learned a lot of spiritual intelligence and a lot of emotional intelligence that you couldn't vibrate at. When you start to rise and you work on the emotional intelligence, see, there's a lot of misconceptions about shadow work, quote unquote, and I don't like that term, and I think that we're gonna come up with a new wording for that work, okay? I've always said you're undoing everything that was done to you, whether you did it to yourself or whether others did it too. You're realizing more and more, though, how there's more accountability on yourself about what you were led to believe or how you deceived you. One of the things that when I start to work with people, I start to have them remove the spirit of deceit, right? And I also have them ask for the spirit of deceit to be removed from themselves so they cannot deceive themselves. Most of the time I deceive myself into believing something else because I allowed others to project those pretenses upon me in one way or another. Okay? And so then, therefore, that spirit started to, that energy started to cast doubt, cast shadows, eat me up inside. It's the same thing that works in your life, just in different ways. Okay? So it comes through in many different ways, and you'll hear me use that term, the spirit of this, the spirit of that. And these are just how your wounds come out, in fact. And when you start to emotionally work through the emotional intelligence and see your level of accountability in how you allowed that energy to be, or remember when they always talk about how nobody can make you feel anything unless you allow them to? Okay? It's true and it's real, but yet you still have to process through the feeling of why you feel that way. Why do you feel like you couldn't go say that to that person? Why did you feel like you had to stay in that situation? Why did you feel like that, right? What in me connected me to that energy in the first place? What in me connected me to that energy in the first place? It's not just all shadow work either. It's not just all twin flame, soulmate energy either. Sometimes you're just put in people's lives to help them rise. And then unfortunately you get caught up in the toxicity and you stay too long. And that's where the spirit of self-neglect, oppression, making you question yourself, the gaslighting will start. You start to deceive yourself. You start to believe something else. Okay? Right, that's just part of the, they're swimming right now, that's part of the victim-like mentality too, is where you oppress yourself in being a victim. Now, it's okay to nurse your ego. We all have to do that, right? What you think is chaos, you know, is merely there for your growth, right? Yeah, the energy of that, what you're trying to get to is it's a mind and emotional connection, right? So you'll have a thought, that thought will reflect a feeling, okay? Most of the time, if you have a feeling come in and then it makes a thought, it's because your heart is picking up energy outside of itself and it belongs to something or someone else around you. If you cascade the thought and then you have a feeling about that thought, that feeling's going to rubber band back and connect to another thought. That's why you have to work on the mind first, and you have to stop the thought to the feeling process. So you have to undo the programming. Some of it's subconscious, some of it's conscious. And when you stop the thought from conducting a feeling to conduct another thought, you start to realize how you become the observer of that thought. My mates always said that. And you become the observer of that thought in your awareness. And then you go, what the fuck? Why am I having that thought? Wait a minute. That's not, what the hell? That's not me. You start to realize how you've always been in the spiritual world. It's always been a part of you. You're just able to see it now. You can perceive it in order to receive it. Mama Briggs. It's always been there. But now you have the emotional intelligence because you become aware, right? This is part of the deliverance, and this is part of the freedom, right? Remember, you're freeing yourself of the bondage of thyself. What was placed upon you. This is why the Sacred Heart of Jesus' teachings, in a sense, not the way that they abused them. Don't let that trigger you when I say that, please. Okay? The Sacred Heart teachings, right, of Yeshua, of Jesus, were very important because it taught you how to use the quantum energy, the energy of thyself, to use the magnetic field of the frequency of the heart to reveal everything outside of itself, to teach you how to master yourself. That's the Sacred Heart activation that we do in quantum healing. So those energies of Christ consciousness is not because your pineal gland is completely decalcified and you can see things in a different way. It's a tandem experience. It's the heart and the mind. See, this is one of the things that the Egyptians loved about the brain, because they were very philosophical. They loved studying the brain, and there's actually a neurotransmitter in the brain that actually connects to the pineal gland that the Egyptians would fuck with, that would actually connect you directly to the pollinator. That's why Isis is the physical representation of magic, mysticism, creativity, and wisdom. Okay? Then you have Osiris, who is the physical representation of life, birth, regeneration, and that process. And then you have Seth and Nefertiti, and they were actually the representation of the divine of Paul Netter. Okay? I'm saying Paul Netter, Paneter, because that's what the Egyptians called it, which actually breaks down to God divine or Father divine, okay, in language. Created Atom, all right? Paul Netter created Atom, Atom, that then wanted to birth itself physically. So it birthed itself physically into the representation of the sun, Ra. Ra then decided to coincide and birth and sneeze, basically is how the story goes, okay? Ra sneezed, all right? And then gave birth to water and air. What do you need to create earth? Fire, water, air. Fire was already there because it's the representation of sun. Then you have water, and then you have earth. Water and air. Fire, water, air create earth. Those are all the divine representations of Isis, Osiris, Seth, and Nefertiti. They're the physical representations of the divine, the elements of the earth. Now, you ask me about Yeshua and you ask me about Mary. They are the representations then of the divine, of the masculine and the feminine in a later time. They had the teachings, they had the wisdom because they learned from those energies and those beings. They learned from the mystic schools. They learned from all of that, right? So this is what is more and more revealing to you in this process of what really is versus what is not. There's a lot of limiting beliefs and a lot of self-doubt that is at your feet. Go lay that at Yeshua's feet. It's the energy here where there's just in self-doubt and self-belief. Some of you are dealing with the spirit of pride too much. All right? Spirit of pride. It's one thing to be proud of yourself, but it's another thing to be cocky, right? There's a difference between cockiness and confidence. And you do know a lot of shit and you're very knowledgeable, but it would be very pretentious of you to think that you know everything. Okay, so I would slow down before there's a humbling effect that takes over through these events. Okay? That's why your team is trying to get you to slow down a little bit. Okay? All right? So if you've been going through this course of action and reaction and then action and then reaction, and the reaction that you're getting is not what you expected it to be, take a little breather. No disrespect to you. I'm just the messenger here. Okay? Sometimes we get a little full of ourselves. And that happens because we come in line with these frequencies and we're like, ah, right? Okay, we get it. It's cool. So they keep on having me go back, of course, to parts of the message that were transcribed about Lionsgate 888 and the Sphinx and Planet X. And I've been asked over and over again to watch a movie again that I watched in my childhood. It was called Project X, and Project X was about a whole bunch of monkeys that they trained, right, in simulation. It's a 1987 film, and it's where they trained the monkeys with sign language, but they were in a simulation, and the monkeys freed themselves. And for about a week, my team was like, Project X, and I was like, I gotta watch that again. And I looked it up and I was like, oh shit. Then I realized too, they were putting in that time simultaneously Planet X. This is the red Kachina, the blue Kachina that Spirit always talks about, that the Hopi prophecy always talks about. Okay? And so this is part of the Christ consciousness energy that's coming back. So the planets are going to push and pull on a magnitude of frequency here that come into our galaxy. There's a lot of connections for a lot of you going on with Andromeda Galaxy. Now that is part of the Milky Way. It is a spiral galaxy. Well, it's not part of the Milky Way, excuse me. It's a spiral galaxy like the Milky Way, but it is the closest galaxy to us. So a lot of you are having connections here from Andromeda, and a lot of you are also having connections here to Pegasus, and as well to Orion's Belt, Sirius Star, the Seven Sisters constellations. So there's some type of confirmation for that in you that you needed to ensue that's coming through. So they're telling me to tell you to start doing it, or start building it, start pursuing it. Block by block, brick by brick. If you're worried about straying away or not making the right decision, or not being on the right pathway, don't worry, okay? The divine's just going to put you right back in alignment, okay? You're too aware. You're too aware, okay? You're too aware. All these lines are intersecting, so if there's a lot of confusion over the next 3 days, part of that's the eclipse energy, okay? And if you feel like your spirit team's hiding something from you, they probably are, but it'll be in revealing soon, okay? All right? If you feel like they're hiding something from you, they probably are. And what's funny is they made me draw an eye lens, okay? So I don't know. Look, they made me draw an eye. And it's not, it doesn't matter which way you turn it, it looks like an eye. So I can turn it sideways, it's an eye. But here it's like, what they're showing me is like, this is the lens, this is the retina, right? Okay. Okay, that's also the representation of planetary alignment too. We do have that going on as well. So there's a lot of energy shifts. So if you guys feel like you're just taking off, okay, probably will. There's a lot of new beginnings. A lot of things in your life have started, stopped. A lot of things in your life have started, stopped. There's not going to be that any longer. There's not going to be a start or stop. Okay? All right. Let's get into this healing. Here we go. All right. Here we go. All right, D. So there's a lot of integration that's going on, and I want you to know that there's a lot of energy here, and we're going to talk in a different way privately, but we're going to do this right now, right here, as I have permissions to do this. Okay. Oh, okay. There's something that's trying to come up from your root into your sacral right now. It's not a block. It's something that's trying to come up and in and merge, okay? Is the best way I can say it. It's almost as if like it's coming from the frequency of Gaia, of course, because I can feel it coming from Mother Earth up into your sacral and into your, obviously, into your root and into your sacral right now. Now, they're open. They're not spilling over, and they're not pulling in too much. And I can see the vortex. Now, it's a little smoky inside the vortex of, oh, yeah, you're menstruating. Sorry. I apologize. That's why it's smoky. Okay. There's a lot of irritation. We're going to clear some of that out. There it is. I was waiting. I had to give a little extra more in symbolization. There we go. There's the release. I was waiting to feel the sacral kind of like shift. Your hips are, I don't know if your hips in your alignment are tilted forward or tilted backwards. Oh, you have a tilted uterus. That's the where the tilt is. I first felt the hip, But then they showed me your uterus tilted. So you've got a tilted uterus. And so that was part of the shift that I was feeling. So we were just kind of bringing that energy forward here for part of the clearing. Cool. Now, there's a softening. Thank you. There's a softening that's coming up through Mother Gaia right now, through you. There's a softening. There's a softening of self-doubt that's running through you. So the self-doubt, you're softening that out right now. That's why this energy is coming up through the root into your sacral. Ah, okay. The self-doubt, and hear me out. They're showing me that it's within the training, within the 100-mile. That's all. That's where it's coming from. But that energy with the self-doubt of the 100-mile is what they're telling me is going to try to play out in other areas of your life and in other ways. So if you self-doubt Chromie, you're going to self-doubt your homie. They're like, self-doubt your homie, your Roni, your Chromie. Like, why are you going to self-doubt that? Okay, it's just because he has not been challenged like that before, but neither have you. And that self-doubt, they're wanting you to turn it into perseverance. Okay? It's lighting you up inside in a different way to get you active, to actually set goals for yourself and actually complete them too, where you're not in and out. Because you're like, I'm doing this one without a doubt. So this is part, they keep bringing up the 100-mile. And it has, the self-doubt has to do with the 100-mile. There's going to be energy around you that doubts you too. That's why they want you to cast that on there. They doubt you with him. I don't know what that is, and that's where I feel like it's playing out. There's a shadow of trust lurking. Okay, so there's a shadow of trust lurking where either you don't trust somebody, okay? It's like you're watching somebody. You're watching somebody and you're watching their behavior very closely. You're observing, right? You're not saying much of anything, you're just observing. Now, there is a divine gift that's coming up into this light through the root and through into your sacral here. Now, we understand that the root chakra, of course, is for stability, for functionality, fear, pretenses. Those are the lower level vibrations. And what we do when we ground is we are stabilizing our frequency, stabilizing our emotions, stabilizing our mind. A lot of people talk about grounding and they're like, what is grounding? Well, in grounding, you're doing breath work and you're trying to get to a place where you're not feeling anything and not having any thought, so that therefore you can sit in a place of self-reliance and self-perseverance to not feel anything, okay? And when you're in that space of grounding, okay, you're working with different techniques to be in emotional enlightenment. Because a lot of us acted out of our teenage years for a long time in our emotions because that's where we left ourselves behind. And so once you start going through the emotional timelines and the emotional intelligence, all of the frequency starts to come online in relevance. Okay, now with that being said, there is a gift that's coming up from Gaia in through your root. When this occurs, you will need to ground your emotions. You will need to ground your thoughts. Because all I hear is, you gotta be joking, right? You gotta be joking, right? That's what I hear, okay? Something is about to clear. And this is what the energy is going to be for you over the next 3 days. And I'm not talking about menstruating. I'm talking about some energy around you is clearing over the next 3 days, and it's not part of the eclipse. Yes, because this is foreshadowed events, is what was just said. Yes, this is foreshadowed events. But at the same time, you can't see all of it. You're not meant to. We know that. That's why you're observing. There are 3 things, 3 timelines in relevance. 3 times 3 times 3, okay, is what was just said to me. And it was a triangle that they had me draw. 3 in each corner. 3 times 3 times 3, okay, is what it's going to be. You needed to know that. 3 times 3 times 3 is what it's going to be, is what you needed to know, okay? You're now tapping into something that is transitioning through you from the divine and from Gaia too. There's a big old wolf here next to my side, and that's not my wolf, that's your wolf, okay? Because I had to look over for a minute. And so the wolf is leading you, and when the wolf presents itself to me, there's always a heightened sense of abilities that are coming through. So your abilities are coming through more profoundly too. This is interesting. There's a delivering of evil, and you felt something ping or pull off your belly button here as we've been speaking. Okay? Okay, so this part of this delivering of this energy here is what's clearing in the next 3 days, but that's also the eclipse energy, so it's kind of being used for you in a couple different ways. It's the eclipse energies. You're showing me both of the planets side to side simultaneously, all right, that obviously is going to be revealing something here new to you as well. So if you can actually sit on the ground here with Gaia today, not because you need to ground, but because you need to receive this energy of this ordinance. Listen, lady, you deal with paperwork, and you deal with paperwork, and they said ordinance. .503 ordinance. That's between you and your team. Three, the triangle. Again, upside down triangle, right? So upside down triangle is what they're showing me. 3, 3, 3. Means something to you in relevance. And you're going to find about, obviously you're going to know more about this, but because of this energy being delivered, there's something in that belly button. They're giving me a rose now too. So a rose, obviously symbolization to you, but they're giving me a rose now. You're also going to see picture of rose or whatnot here. That is actually the picture of the rose like that you see outside of your house or whatever that is to you is going to make itself apparent here. Like in your physical realm. It's going to be some type of confirmation for you. So they said pay attention to the rose. Now, interesting enough, I know that Mary Magdalene usually and her energy, but it's not just Mary Magdalene, it's all 3 Marys, just like the representation of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. So you've got Mary Magdalene, you've got Mother Mary, and then you've got Mary Magdalene's mother, Mary. So the Divine Feminine, 3, Maiden Mother Crone, you're being moved into the crone state. You're being moved into the crone state. Okay, as well. And that's the, but the rose, of course, they're showing me the relevance of the rose to you. Okay. All right, D, because that was important. But we're going to talk here more today because there's just a few integrations that cannot be displayed. And I can't say at the time right now, but we'll do some private work in the back later on today, if you don't mind. All right. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. You grow roses? Well, the blue rose is connected to Mary Magdalene and stuff, and if it was the blue rose, I would have told her it was the blue rose, right? Which a lot of feminines are in contact with, which is part of the, the divine Sophia and the teachings of Mary Magdalene, Isis, and Yeshua, right? And actually, if it was blue, I would have told her it was the blue one. But the one they're giving me is red, to be honest with you, which has a different type of significance, especially in psychic abilities. And a lot of people don't know that one of the red rose is actually one of the most protective symbols, protective smells, and protective flowers that they can have in their home when it comes to seers, right? This seer space is not just about seeing. You're not just a seer, right? You're not just a seer to see. There's way more that comes with that responsibility of seeing. So this is more, and you could connect it to psychic abilities, but there's when you see things and you know how to handle things and you know how to do things with certain types of energies, because certain people have certain callings on their life, right? It means that there's a different reason why, right? So I know personally, Dee delivers people from physical demonic entities and poltergeist energies and stuff like that. In that pretense, she's similar to me. And with that being said, that's one of the reasons that they're giving me the rose here. She actually dealt with something pretty similar with that she'd had to go through. So the red rose is not only a symbolization for her and her abilities and clearing out energies, but she's also using the seeing ability because she's able to reveal people's past, present, future to help them heal through that deliverance, right? So we call them a lot of Dementor energy, stuff like that, attachments and stuff. So the red rose was just very significant in that way. All right. Yes, Miss Demon Slayer. All right. But this is where there's more that's coming about this. It's a level of responsibility because it's not just that you're seeing things to see. You're seeing a lot of different things for a reason, but when you have the ability to see as the seer, that's when you have the responsibility to do something with that energy or not. And so this is almost like them handing her a rose too, because she's accepted that piece and that part about herself, which was something that she had to go through in her journey. To accept that about herself, right? To accept that she could do what she could do or was here to do certain things that she was. It's not easy when people really work with lower level energies and they manifest themselves not only in physical reality, but they manifest itself into a poltergeist energy. If you've never worked with the poltergeist energy or you've never been in that energy, okay, you can't understand it. And it's okay because you're not meant to understand it. And that's not disrespect. That's just, it's not a part of your pathway. And bless you for not having to understand. It's a gift, to you, but it's a gift to us that we are able to do this work in that way too. So, it's hard to accept those things. It's hard to see that stuff, and be around that stuff and to see that stuff physically manifest, not only in apparition state, okay, but wreak havoc in your life in multiple ways, and to be very careful about yourself and know the energy and the power that you carry. It is a great responsibility because when you got to work with both sides when the level of energy that comes in with that, right? You got to work with both sides. So not only, is there a lot of things that those parties go through because they get deceived a lot by what people would call Loki energy or devil energy and stuff like that because they're learning, right, how to command and work with that energy and what that energy truly is. So she's going through the ringer, and that rose was a beautiful gift, man. A beautiful gift of responsibility too. So they're proud of you, and they're proud that you chose, right? Because many are chosen, but few will choose. to continue to have the willingness to surrender and to have the willingness and the dedication to obey consistently. I bet you right now, with no disrespect, there's probably maybe one other person, if that, in this room that is literally in prayer or meditation 3 times a day for about 2 to 3 hours a day. And it's not for yourself either. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing. You're not praying for yourself. You're not asking for anything for yourself. And so, yeah. Right? Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. When you know, man, that energy makes you, the hair on the back of your neck stands up. It's not the cold chill energy. It's straight fucking fear, your life is in danger energy when you actually come in contact with that energy, okay? And that's what they feed off of, all right? And that energy then, when you know what you're working with and you know how to deal with that energy, it becomes kind of laughable, with all due respect, because you understand what's going on and how to deal with that energy. But only by mastering the self and mastering those things and what to do with those things can those come through, you know, delivering those things. I used to, you know, have a few issues of my own when it came to that energy a lot, right? Yeah, exactly. You pray for all. Like, it has nothing to do. Like, I am literally in prayer meditation probably two hours, 3 times a day. If it's not 3 times a day, it's literally twice a day for at least 3 hours at a time. Because I'm asked, right? I'm one of the divine secret keepers. So when the divine asks me to move, I move. When the divine asks me to do things that I don't understand, I just do things that I don't understand. I don't have to understand them. They're not for me to understand. I'm not here to necessarily understand what's going on with me. I'm here to be that bridge and that channel so that I can help others understand and understand what's going on in relevance to them, right? So that's the beauty of it, when you can fully move out of your own way, when you fully are in the willingness. Now see, some of you have the willingness, but when you have the willingness to surrender, do you have the obedience to stay persistent and to stay when the divine tells you to stay, and endure when the divine tells you to endure, and to go when the divine tells you to go? Probably not. See, you might have the willingness and you might surrender, but you probably pull that surrender back and take things into your own hands again. And so when you come into a different level of understanding, it's willingness, surrender, obedience, and it's consistent, and it stays persistent. See, when I had a yearning for the divine inside of me as such a little kid, it kept burning and it kept yearning and it kept going and come. There's nothing more than I wanted than to hear from the divine, but the divine doesn't come through in my head. It doesn't come through in my clairaudience like it does with other spirits and all the other information from interstellar beings. It doesn't come through telepathically. That's not how the divine works. The divine comes through here. Shh, move out the way. And that's how that energy, you have to have the willingness. But when you say surrender, because see, you keep trying that, we went through this, this is how the divine showed me, right? Plus sign and the multiple sign, right? Plus sign looks like the cross, right? And all you do is keep adding on and adding on and adding on and adding on. No, when you actually surrender, right, the cross turns into multiplication. So the divine will multiply your surrender. Stop trying to add. Have the willingness to surrender. Surrender, and the divine will multiply what you were trying to add. Okay? Letting go of what you think you had versus what you actually have. Right? So, all of you beautiful people, you take care of yourselves. You take care of each other, please, okay? And if you need anything, you're more than welcome to check out my website. You can also reach me through text on the business line. The phone number is up on the website. You can shoot me an email. You can chat to me there. I talk back. So if somebody talks back to you in the chat, it's not a robot. It is me. Okay? So just know that I answer that I'm open to that. I communicate with people a lot more than people think, you know. When you guys are ready, I'll see you soon on the other side. All right? Till we meet again. And take care of yourselves. All right? Mwah.